auditing Fort Knox, you're going into the bedroom or the holy of holies of the deep state, because that is the core of their power. It's a very serious, very dangerous thing. And these sorts of revelations, if there is a revelation, can collapse the entire inflationary system in an instant if something is found out that shouldn't be found out. This is dangerous stuff. It's necessary, but it's dangerous.
Fort Knox, officially known as the United States Bullion Depository, has long stood as a symbol of American wealth and stability. Behind its steel-reinforced walls lies what many believe to be over $400 billion worth of gold, an icon of financial security. But now, in 2025, this fortress of gold has become the epicenter of a heated debate driven by some of the most influential voices of our time. In the past week alone, several prominent people, spearheaded by billionaire Elon Musk, have called for a full audit of Fort Knox to assure the American people that the gold is still there, all accounted for, and finally, silence the many conspiracies surrounding what has happened to the US Bullion Depository. President Donald Trump has also questioned whether the gold is still there. "If the gold isn't there, we're going to be very upset," Trump said. In response to the president's queries, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent affirmed that the gold is still there and that an audit is conducted each year. He also said he would happily arrange an inspection for any interested senator. As assuring as this sounds, it hasn't done much to quell the speculations and conspiracy theories about the gold in Fort Knox. Some popular theories include claims that the vaults are either partially or completely empty, with the gold secretly sold off or used to back foreign debts. Others believe the gold has been replaced with counterfeit bars, such as tungsten-filled ones, or that it was secretly moved during past financial crises. A long-standing theory also suggests that the U.S. government hides the true state of its reserves to maintain economic stability and public trust. In a recent interview with Liberty and Finance, financial analyst and endgame investor Rafi Farber suggests there's an even bigger reason Fort Knox has not been fully audited in decades, despite many calls for it. Rafi suggests that a full audit of the U.S. gold reserves would be so devastating it might completely destroy the banking industry and fiat monetary system. We will present clips from Rafi's interview. As we do, please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
I'm having these memories from back in 2012, from the Ron Paul 2012 campaign. That's pretty much when I woke up and understood that everything was an illusion. Ron Paul was a big part of that, as he was for many of us, I think. I remember back in 2012, I think Trump was running also for president, but that was when he was still a joke. I think he was speaking at a Ron Paul friendly event or something, and he was saying I love Ron Paul, he's a great guy, but he can't win, and everyone booed him. So that was the first hint that maybe Trump really did like Ron, and maybe he wasn't such a bad guy, even though he was kind of a joke back then. So the fact that he's taking this seriously, an audit of Fort Knox is a thing that matters. First of all, it means that to some degree, not to the full extent, but to some degree, he understands that gold is money, right? Because you're not going to audit, Cushing, Oklahoma, for how much oil is there. That's all. You're always keeping track of that. And the only reason that you wouldn't count gold is because you think it's irrelevant. And it's just like a big fortress of a bunch of metals stacked in piles that nobody ever does anything with. That's how the fiat enthusiasts describe it. And on the surface, that's correct, but it represents all the money circulating around. And if you as we all know, if you fake the amount of gold certificates, you create a business cycle, you create a boom bust, and that's it. So I think the gold is there. What do I know? I'm not an intelligence officer. I don't work for USAID or the CIA. I don't really know exactly what's there, but I wouldn't be surprised if the gold is actually there. And the issue is who owns it and how many claims per bar or per whatever it is. I have a feeling that they would rehypothecate and they would encumber it multiple times for whatever bank purposes. So the audit shouldn't really primarily be focused on, is the stuff actually there? Can I see it? Can I hold it and weigh it? Okay, fine. But who owns it? exactly. And so you got to find the paper trail, and that's the big deal. And if we find that there are many claimants on each bar, there's going to be some mayhem. I mean, this is a dangerous thing to do. The core of government power, of corruption, the core power of corruption, what causes corruption and what makes it so powerful, is the inflationary process. It's not something you can just start, right? It's something that you have to establish huge amounts of trust and reliability for. And that's what the United States established after it basically conquered the world after World War II, defeated the Nazis, managed Europe, put together the West as we know it, put together the entire post-World War II political reality. And so everyone relied on the US. And from that power, it was able to inflate over the gold supply. And that inflation goes into everything. Everything that is corrupt because of the inflation. So you can't fix the education system without stopping the inflation, because the inflation will find its way into the education system to fund something that should not be funded. That's what it does. So to bring it back to your question, or to the topic of an audit, auditing Fort Knox, and also it's not just Fort Knox. There's some in New York and there's some in Denver. I mean, the gold certificates that are on the Fed's balance sheet are a collection of all three. Fort Knox is the biggest one, but there's one in Denver, I think one in New York. So assuming all these three places are going to be audited, you're going into the bedroom or the holy of holies of the deep state, because that is the core of their power. They don't want you to know that it is. They might not even be conscious fully that it really is, but that's it. That's the bedroom. Or the dungeon, right? Whatever the most important room in the house is for them. So auditing it, if they do it honestly, if Trump does it honestly, and I think Elon Musk was saying that he's going to live broadcast it or something. I don't know if that's going to happen. He might just be sensationalist, but it's a very serious, very dangerous thing. And these sorts of revelations, if there is a revelation, can collapse the entire inflationary system in an instant if something is found out that shouldn't be found out. This is dangerous stuff. It's necessary, but it's dangerous. It would be too irresponsible, even for the deep state, to actually get rid of this stuff, when really you don't have to move it anywhere. You can just assign different owners or promises to different people, and they say, well, you have this now, you can trade against it, and then everyone thinks they own it. But that's what the inflationary system is. You don't have to move the stuff. So why would it not be there if nobody actually has to? They're not going to make a deal with a jeweler, do you want some of our gold in Fort Knox? You can make some necklaces. That's not what's happening. It stays monetary. If it stays monetary, there's no reason for it to move. So it'll probably be there. The question is who owns it, and that's a bigger question. There's some theories now that maybe the gold coming in from London, and we can go into this next topic if you want me to hone in a question, but it could be that some of the gold that's transferring from London or wherever it's coming from into New York could be the federal government trying to cover its lack of supplies before the audit. That I don't know if that's true. That's pure speculation, because nobody knows. It's just stories that people are saying. Maybe. We'll see.
The deep state is a hidden network of influential individuals within government, intelligence agencies, the military, and large corporations who allegedly operate independently of elected officials to control policy and maintain power. Many believe the deep state exerts influence through institutions like the Federal Reserve, shaping monetary policy, interest rates, and banking regulations to benefit elites and large financial firms. The notorious military industry complex, the global banking cabal, international organizations like the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, and other less prominent societies and organizations are all allegedly wrapped up in this hidden network, controlling the world and the global economy from the shadows. They are the backers of the fiat monetary system, which pays them trillions of dollars per year to the detriment of working individuals and households worldwide. Rafi suggests that a full audit and revaluation of the U.S. gold reserves will pull the entire system down by its ears, completely wrecking these institutions. Let's get back to the video.
It wouldn't exactly be a dollar devaluation. It would be a debt devaluation. This is what I've emphasized on, and again, maybe that's around my channel, on my Substack, since I began this thing. since I became like a talking head in the gold and silver space, that the gold standard never ended. We're still on it because of the regression principle, because of the Misesian regression principle, regression theorem. I prefer saying principle; it just sounds better. All prices reach back into the past. Every economic transaction that we engage in today is connected to every economic transaction in the past, just like evolution. Right? It always goes back to DNA recombining and meiosis and reproduction. What we are today is a result of every single relationship in the past, just definitionally. So you can't get away from gold. The dollar started as a derivative of the gold that existed somewhere, and prices evolved from there. The difference now is that most of what is the dollar is made up of debt to pay those same dollars, and it loops back in on itself. So a gold revaluation, gold is part of what the dollar is because because the issuer of the dollar, the ones who issue those things, the Fed has claims on gold and it has claims on debt paid in dollars, which are claims on gold, right? It all goes back. So on its balance sheet, it has this lie that everyone knows is a lie, and everyone just thinks it's stupid. That says that the gold that the Fed has a claim on, which is in Fort Knox and other places, that's $42.22. Ha ha! Isn't that funny? So that means that all the dollars that are owed in debt are redeemable for gold at $42, which they're not. When you okay, so let me take this to a simpler analogy. That when, let's say your kid has a few coins in a piggy bank, right, and then your other kid, this just happened in my family, and somebody needs like a quarter, right? So he goes to his piggy bank, takes a quarter, replaces it with an IOU 1/4 in the piggy bank, right? Is the IOU 1/4, is that part of the money supply? It's not part of the money supply. It's on par with a quarter. That means that whoever has this paper is owed 1/4. But if there aren't enough quarters, then how many papers do you need to get 1/4, right? If you keep issuing the papers and there's not enough quarters, so the paper isn't worth 1/4, it's maybe worth 5 cents, 10 cents, depending how many quarters actually exist. Right? So most of the dollar is debt. It's debt to owe dollars, but to owe what? Like, what am I owing? And that is, you're owing the gold at 42. But if you say, oh, that's a lie, I don't have enough gold to redeem the $6.8 trillion that are on the Fed's balance sheet at $42 an ounce. There's just not enough gold in the solar system to do that. So we're gonna say this is a lie. We're gonna admit it, and we're gonna say, you know what, the exchange rate is actually 42,000, not 42, because the amount of dollars has gone up 1,000 times. So what happens? The debt, those papers that said, I owe you a quarter, they get devalued to almost nothing, which means all of the institutions that own this dollar-denominated debt, they lose all of that value overnight. Just because you changed the number on a balance sheet, it sounds so stupid, but that's what will happen necessarily, because whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to believe that gold is money, or you think that money is just a social construct like gender or whatever, it doesn't matter what you think. Gold is money. So that's what will happen. It will devalue the debt, and all the banks that own that debt will die almost instantly.
Over the past week, the gold market has been on a dramatic upward trajectory, culminating in a new all-time high on February 20th, 2025, when prices surged to $2,954 per ounce. This historic peak was fueled by a potent mix of geopolitical instability, shifting economic policies, and intensified investor demand for safe haven assets. At the heart of this surge lies a renewed wave of geopolitical tensions, particularly involving the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. As uncertainty ripples through global markets, investors have gravitated toward gold, long viewed as a stable store of value during times of crisis. Heightened fears surrounding the conflict have amplified gold's appeal, pushing prices upward as investors seek protection from volatility. Adding to the momentum, central banks have been making strategic moves that further tightened supply and boosted demand. China, in particular, has ramped up its gold purchases, increasing its reserves as a buffer against currency fluctuations and to reduce reliance on the US dollar. These large-scale acquisitions have added a significant layer of demand in an already bullish market. Financial institutions have been quick to adjust their outlooks in response to these developments. Goldman Sachs, for example, has revised its year-end gold price forecast upward to $3,100, citing the strong likelihood of sustained investor interest amid ongoing geopolitical tensions and economic policy shifts. As gold edges toward the $3,000 milestone, the market reflects a broader narrative of investor anxiety and strategic hedging. In times of uncertainty, whether driven by conflict, inflation fears, or shifting global trade dynamics, gold remains a beacon of stability. With current conditions showing no immediate signs of resolution, many analysts believe the rally may still have room to run, making gold a focal point for global markets in the weeks ahead. Please share your thoughts on Rafi Farber's interview about the deep state and Fort Knox in the comments section below. Also, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notifications bell for more videos like this. We appreciate your support and hope to see you in the next one.